Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Monday's Thought for the Day. It's really been lovely weather over the weekend, hasn't it? It just makes you feel, it uplifts you, doesn't it? To know that spring's here, to see the new life coming through. Just wonderful. And I've had a good weekend. I went to a readers' conference on Saturday, which was really inspiring, and it was about poetry and preaching. And I hope to share some of those things on these thoughts for the day in the not too distant future. It was just a lots of wonderful insights, and it's great to hear new things and to be refreshed, isn't it? And to meet inspiring people. It was just a wonderful day. It was also a day where I caught up with my with the readers that I trained with, and we hadn't been able to see each other over the period of COVID. We'd always committed to meet up regularly, and of course that fell by the wayside. But we've renewed our commitment to do so, and been able to make a date where we're all going to meet up and eat and drink together. And so that pleased me. So the whole weekend lifted me up, and I hope you found something in your weekend, and even if it's just the weather and just the burgeoning new life, that's something wonderful. Last time I talked about sensitivity to the world's needs, and if you're sensitive, if you're a sensitive person, you know that. You probably noticed that God can use your sensitive heart for good. That's one of the things that I was talking about last time. And also I mentioned that those of us who are sensitive can experience that, can be oversensitive, and that can sometimes be destructive. Those of us among us who are sensitive, we often experience those two sides. We know the good sensitive, but we also know the too sensitive, the bad sensitive. And whilst that sensitive heart can allow that sensitivity to the hurt or pain of others, and I touched on this last time, being too sensitive can wrongly lead us to be saddened or hurt by things that shouldn't bother us, really. And people who tend to be hurt or saddened easily, they also have a natural inclination towards empathy. They see the ways that people around them might be hurting, and those who could use encouragement or help. And for the sensitive person, there may be that sort of intuitive aching with those who ache, or a natural disposition and a desire to carry the burdens of others. I know within St Albans Church, I know that there are people within that. I've had conversations about this. And that's a really good kind of sensitivity, but in a sense, I don't know whether this is the right word, or the right phrase. The bad sensitive, the too sensitive. There are many times when words spoken or things done have unintentionally caused our hearts to grieve, and instead of overlooking or absorbing whatever it is, an insult, or deliberately seeking out the good in another, we might have felt stung and allow the sadness and the hurt to linger too long and influence how we might relate to that person who we perceive has hurt us. Now, the advice might be to toughen up, or you need a thicker skin, but there's an issue with that, because if we toughen up or develop calloused, thick skin, we might lose a good sensitivity, because we want to keep a soft heart and a tenderness towards pain, other people's pain. But at the same time, being too easily hurt or quickly saddened can all too naturally be the first step down a path towards resentment or bitterness. And I've come to the conclusion, and I didn't always believe this, but there is really a choice about whether we're hurt or offended. And it's taken me a long time to come to that decision. And there is such power and freedom in absorbing the offence and making the choice to pursue love instead of sinking into sadness or bitterness. I had an issue with my extended family some time ago, and it was about the care of my grandmother, and there were lots of conflicts and difficulties, and I look back and I feel that I was made a scapegoat, and there were lots of unfair things said about me, untrue things, and yes, of course they hurt, but I made a decision that wouldn't affect how I related to those people who were hurting me, and in the end that won over, that stance. In a sense, I overcame it, and people saw me in a different light, and we were able to continue to relate to each other all these years later. And that was a positive thing, because although it hurt, I didn't let it define my relationship with them. And there's a time to confront, and there's a time to forbear. The scripture actually says a lot about both, and in certain cases it really takes a lot of wisdom to know which course is right. But when sin isn't involved and the issue is merely that we've been hurt or offended, the biblical option is a quiet, loving forbearance. And there's a lot of freedom in that, and grace. In Ephesians 4, chapter 4, verse 2, it says, I therefore, a prisoner of the Lord, urge you to walk in a manner worthy of the calling for which you have been called, with all humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing with one another in love, eager to maintain the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. And maybe you know someone who you need to choose to forgive and forbear with today. Amen. Well, I'm looking forward to going on a training course with Tom and Helen this next 3 days. So I'm hoping I'll still be able to produce something on Thursday. Take care of yourself, and God bless. Bye-bye.